So, contrary to popular belief, I don't really have a problem with scalping. I have a problem with the people who market scalping, right? Because I'm scalping myself, right? We're in that kind of market where there's some gigantic moves. Look at any of the MSTR, SMCI, certainly Nvidia. You could look at, Cocoa. If you trade futures, like some of those moves are very, very pronounced. There's obviously risk involved, but you know, I don't have a problem per se, again, with scalping. I know people who can do it. I do believe you need to have an enormously great sense of timing. I think you can see it again and watch it and understand it intellectually, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can do it. And so when I see marketers, putting out videos on how easy it is, I hope you understand. You probably felt it too. Like it's just not the reality. I know there are people who do it very, very well, but you have to understand that it's widely understood that only 5 to 6% of the people who day trade make it from everyone who tries. And within the day trading space, that doesn't necessarily mean that those people can scalp either. Like it's a very, very unique skill. And if you're doing it and you're making money, you're making a living, that's great. I think it's disingenuous to tell folks who have 1 to 2,000 that they can scalp their way to financial freedom without adding money, significant amounts, like thousands and thousands of dollars to their account. Yeah, but Mike, I'm in this Discord where they're all doing it. And I'm like, in statistics, we call those survivors, right? We call those people survivors. You don't see the people who didn't make it, right? So you have to be practical. You have to be objective, even if you don't want to. You can choose to believe what you want, right? But I've been around a long time and I've seen it. I've seen the folks who can do it. And so when I say a handful, it's a figurative way of saying it. But percentage wise, like even in the 5% of the people who make it, there's like a very small percentage of those folks can actually scalp. It takes a very, very unique feel for the market. You can develop it. You'll have to try. You'll have to experiment. You'll have to risk real money. Paper trading can help, but nothing feels as good overall when you're doing it with real money and winning and losing, because then you get to calibrate your system. Because again, not just, you're going to need to be super accurate, right? Because with scalping, you're talking about being in a position maybe for 1 to 2 minutes. And there's a lot that go on. There's order flow, right? You're looking at level 2. You're looking at relative strength. You're looking at, volume. I have mixed emotions about it. Volume doesn't equal liquidity. But if you see volume showing up on the tape for that instant, and you have really, really good instincts, you can absolutely nail the trade very, very quickly. But my whole thing when I compare that, because when I do my scalping, the thing that I think about is time frames, right? So if I see an opportunity to scalp something, I can look at that as a trade entry. As people, we label it according to what our emotional needs are. Because to me, like if you see some kind of a breakout price after consolidation or it's retesting a certain level and you see volume showing up, you can say that that's my scalp entry. But another person who's sitting down the hall, perhaps at another firm, can say, well, that's my swing trade entry. That's my entry that I'm going to have. I bought it on Wednesday. Let's see if I can hold it. And if the move follows through to, the end of the day, then that would be a day trade, not a scalp. If you hold it to Thursday, Friday, now we're in a swing trade. You get the same entry. If you're a position or a trend follower, you can label it how you want, right? So there's not any specific entries that I think if you're looking to try to develop your craft, you could look at your scalp entry as the entry for a trend trade. Why do you have to label it a certain way, right? Because to me, when I look at all the different education stuff that's out there, to me, any of those entry rules can apply to any number of holding periods. You choose emotionally to remove the risk when you do. And that's a very personal decision. For me, like I said when I was on with Juan Carlos, JC Peretz, and All-Star Charts, is like, I'm at the stage now where I know I have a great work ethic, but that doesn't mean that I want to work like a dog every day. You see? And I mentioned Pareto efficiency. Like I want the most amount of output for the least amount of inputs, which is a fancy way of saying I want to make the most amount of money for doing the least amount of work. Now, I tend to do my work as my preparation the day before typically the night before, and then I review in the morning. And that feels better for me emotionally than to have to do my preparation in the morning. Keep in mind, I'm in Los Angeles, so environment has a big part of my decision, right? I'm already up at 4:35 in the morning. I don't want to have to do my biggest crunch work that early in the morning. I'd rather review the work that I did the day before and say, okay, how are things behaving overnight? Where can I step in? Where do things look like they're going to back off? And I might need another day. Those decisions are much better for me, again, in my environment. If you're in New York City, you got all the time in the world to get to the office by 6 or 7 in the morning, for the opening bell. And some of you don't even do any trades until 11 o'clock, right? You don't trade in the first hour and a half. Let the market set up and tell you where the ranges are, right? That might be another way to do it. So for me, you have all the time. The time zone helps you. For me, the time zone works better in the aftermarket, in managing my risk that way. Like after the close, after the closing bell, and then certainly as I come into the evening, as I was telling JC, after like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock midnight, I can see what's happening in other parts of the world, right? Where it's already too late for the folks on the East Coast because they're already probably in bed. But for me, if I'm up at 10 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock in the morning in the East Coast, I can see what's happening in Asia in real time. So that gives me a bit of a tactical, or at least a situational advantage, is I can kind of see how things are following through. That helps a lot in currencies. It also happens, in metals like gold and silver. You can see them start to trade overseas, and you can manage your positions accordingly. If those markets in the stock indices are starting to sell off, it could trickle over and creep into what's happening with, say, NASDAQ or S&P, so I can initiate a position or better manage my risk by offsetting some of my risk for the things that I'm taking home overnight. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're going to try to develop a feel, it's very, very, I think it's a skill that can be evolved. It comes through an enormous amount of trial and error. Again, I have skill, but I was born with it, I believe. And I certainly worked hard to develop it. So on some level, I can share with you that I'm lucky. But on another level, I can share with you that I did work hard to kind of hone that craft. Keep in mind, if you're new to the show, all I did at the beginning was fail. I was underfunded. Everything that I thought I knew about Wall Street or thought what would happen for me when I got there was completely wrong. And I had to simplify and cut back. I had to eliminate foreign exchange trading, interbank foreign exchange, and options trading altogether, because when I looked at my behavior, I wasn't getting any results. My stock trading was okay because I stuck with quality names, and I think I was probably in a bit of a bull market. My skill, where I completely understood the market, was in trading physical commodities. It seemed to come natural to me, so that's what I focused on, so that I could build a track record and, more importantly, build my confidence. Because once you even, guys as dumb as the damn doorknob walking into your office, that person has confidence, they're going to achieve a lot in life just because of moxie. So what I don't like is when people try to tell you how easy it is and how much money you could make, in such a short period of time with no experience and no money. It's a come on. I don't know, they might have had certain type of success in their career starting out, and they could be in the right place at the right time. But I don't care if someone's had 6 months of success with AI. That's not enough time for me to trust it. I certainly wouldn't put any money into any algorithmic trading using AI. Because I came up learning how to run my own systems and building my own models. And I'm not completely sold on the whole AI is going to change the world thing. I think it's going to do a lot in replacing jobs, and it could do a lot for like client service, for sure. That's the evidence that I could see right now. But most of the traders that I know want to be more hands-on. Very few people want to delegate the decision making to fully automated systems or even purely systematized trend following models. Most of those people are still even reading charts and figuring it out the day of. So there's a lot that's going to have to happen culturally, I think, before the whole of Wall Street goes in hook, line, and sinker. And so you need to be careful, right? Buyer beware, caveat emptor. I know for sure that if you have the right emotional constitution and you know that you don't freak out when you lose money, you do have a chance, because that's something that everyone has to do. Even the guys who were in, Market Wizards had to pay some kind of, they all had to go through some type of emotional hazing to get into the trading frat, and they all had to lose gigantic sums of money, probably a lot more than you'll ever have to lose. But don't think for 2 seconds just because some guy in marketing tells you how easy it is to do this and that you could make a lot of money and then go to cash, have no overnight risk. I know that sounds emotionally appealing, but it's very, very, very difficult to do. I do it. It took me a long time to get there. I know I have friends that do it, and they're very, very good at it. But no one comes out of their mother's womb necessarily with that innate ability. It's going to take you some time to learn your craft. And you have to think about the time and the money and the effort that you're willing to spend in order to learn that, because too many people quit too soon because they don't have the right expectations, right? Expectations have built in disappointments. So just know that it's probably going to take you several years to really get where you want to be. I know you want to get there tomorrow, but it's just like a relationship. They take time to evolve. Anyway, you like this video? Check out this one here.